It's our pleasure to welcome back for a second appearance to the Wise Guys, Coach Kelly Poppinga, that we all affectionately just call K-Pop. So.
Yeah, no, it's good to be here. This first time in studio. This is sweet. I walk in, take my shoes off. This is like I feel comfortable. I see you don't have you're barefoot right there.
That's my deal. Like I'm never going to wear shoes on the show. I don't care. It was snowing a couple weeks ago. I walk in and our producer Jack says, "You don't have shoes on." I go, "No, I will never wear shoes in this show. I wear slippers."
Nah, it feels good in here. It's like a little man's cave down here. It's
awesome.
It's
so fun. Well, let's start with what a season. My goodness, right? Team finishes 11-2, ranked number 13, as I mentioned in the final AP poll. Dominated a very well-respected and good Colorado team with tons of talent. 2 first-round draft picks for sure in that Alamo Bowl. Did you ever imagine in fall camp that this team could have this kind of success?
Everybody always asks me in the offseason, how good you guys going to be? You guys going to be good? And I always come out of fall camp like, I have no clue. Because you don't know how good your offense really is until they play against another team. Same thing when you play against, your defense, how good are they when they play against somebody else? And so from spring ball through the off season into fall camp, you're just going against each other all the time. So you see the same things over and over again. You're like, okay, how good are we? I knew we had talent, though. I knew we were talented at receiver. I thought our O-line was much improved with Coach Woods. I thought Retzloff was going to have experience, on offense. And then defensively, we basically had everybody back from a year ago, which, we struggled in that first year with, Coach Hill and myself and Coach Anna coming in, Coach Puha. But we knew that there was a lot of learning that they took in the offseason. And and then I felt great about special teams. I felt like we had as good as returners as we've ever had at BYU. I knew Will was a special kicker, and I knew Sam was going to be a really good punter. And so I felt like the talent was there. Now could we put it all together? And I think, after that first game, we were thinking, okay, we could be pretty good. And then when we went down to SMU, that's when we were like, okay, this could be a special year. Yeah. And so that's, when you play your competition, you finally play really good competition. That's not, yourself. That's when you realize, okay, here we go. This is going to be a great year.
To Coach's point, like you're for spring ball and even fall camp, especially if you're a seasoned guy, you start picking up on the offense's play. Their audibles, like this is I still remember.
Start cheating.
Yeah, start cheating. You do start cheating.
Well, Coach Fowler, Gavin Fowler, I remember him telling me that you were one of the guys that actually, because as a defensive staff, you're like, how good can we be on the D line? Mm-hmm. Felt really good about that linebacking core, and I know Jay and Gavin and Gennaro felt like, no, we have some dudes in the secondary. We got experience up there. Can Blake come back and be really, really good? Can John be really, really good inside? Can Tyler step it up? And Gavin gives you credit because he's like, no, K-Pop from the start of fall camp said, guys, we're going to be good on the D-line. Yeah. We're going to be good. So how did you know that these guys were going to be that good? Because he's saying you were saying it in fall camp that you were going to be good in the D-line.
Once we moved Blake to the inside, I felt really good with John and Blake in there. And then there were some other pieces that came along as the season went on with, JT. I think he stepped up. But then, I knew Tyler was going to be dominant. Like you just watched Tyler through spring ball and through fall camp. I knew he was going to be a dominant player because I thought we had good offensive tackles, and I thought he held his own, extremely well against them. And then I felt very good with guys opposite of Batty and Isaiah Badnia and then Logan Latui. And so and then there was some young talent in there as well. So I just knew that move for Blake was good. And Blake had a great year. Blake played as good as anybody on the D line.
I feel like he was one of the most underrated guys on BYU's defense. Am I wrong in that?
There was more guys. I shouldn't say more, but when any scout came to talk to me about Tyler, the very next question is, tell me about Blake Mangelson.
Yeah. Does he have a chance? Can he make it?
Oh, yeah. And I think Blake's, he's 6'5", he put on, a bunch of weight. He dominated. Like if you turn on the SMU game, he dominated that game. Yeah. And a lot of people, want to always give Tyler credit, but in that game, without Blake Mangelson, we don't win that game.
Can he be a Chris Hoke kind of a guy?
I think he's more like a Brett Kiesel type of guy.
That's either one of those guys would be great, right?
I think he could go into a scheme, a 3-4 scheme, play a 4-eye, and just live in there for 10 years if he wanted to, because he's tough. Man. He's a tough sucker, and he plays low. He knows how to play with his hands. He knows how to bend. He's a good athlete. And so I would say out of the whole entire team, who was the unsung hero of the season? I would say it's Blake Mengelson.
That's awesome.
And just the progress that he made from spring ball and the dedication and commitment he made, because he had to change his body completely. He played last season, 2023 season, at 255.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden he's 285, 290 by the time we get to this season.
And to keep his quickness and all that, that's something special.
So it was good to see.
We give him our unsung hero award.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to go back to special teams really fast, because I'll always remember this. In 2010, when Bronco took over, I remember scouts would come and you guys took over. We still call it the takeover.
It was a takeover.
And I remember you talking to scouts towards the end of the season, and you kind of yelled at me. I think Andrew Rich was on special teams, but Brandon Bradley and a couple of the seniors, and you were like, everybody should be on special teams. These scouts are telling me, why aren't you on special teams? And I looked at you and I was like, there's no way.
I'm not playing out. I'm not playing that.
Nope, not playing it. And he was like, this is your opportunity. This is his exact words. This is your opportunity to get to the next level. And I was like, but it kind of was a sobering moment for me. And I remember Utah, we played and we ended up losing by a field goal, block punt, or block field goal.
Block field goal, yeah.
And I remember, so I was senior. I came back the next year. Doing TV and whatnot, and that's when all the black came out. And you guys were like, we want to start to emphasize having the best players on the field at all times, even special teams. So if you guys make the special teams as an incentive, we'll give you black gear. How has that type of mentality? Because now you're seeing guys that aren't like myself, that I don't want no clue. I want nothing to be a part of special teams. But now you have guys that are like, oh, I'll go. Are you guys giving any type of incentives, or I guess what do you think has changed the most from that time all the way to your time, now where special teams is thriving versus guys kind of hiding, not trying to get picked?
Yeah, there's a little incentive there. Yeah, there's a little NIL piece we have.
Oh,
that goes to the player of the game for each week, and it's a good piece of money. But it's all, I think that's a part of it. The thing that I think of more than anything, and I tell everybody this, BYU's depth, we got better depth than we've ever had.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. I go back to when I was a player, when I first coached. I go back, I even look at my years at Virginia, and I'm like, this is the deepest team I've ever been on. You just look at the receiver core. So if you look at how you make up core special teams, it's typically your receivers, your running backs, your linebackers, your safeties, and your corners. That's typically who it is. Tight ends. And you look at all those positions, and we're pretty dang deep at every single one of those positions, especially the skill positions. And that's where I think I thought the receivers stepped up. I thought the DBs and safeties stepped up. And, you talk about how good of a year we had. A lot of it was because we just had, I think, as good as a core to pick from than we've ever had.
That's what I was wondering. If you could put your finger on what that success is. There one thing, or maybe it's not just one thing, because this special teams wasn't an elite level. And I'm not kidding when I say it's the best special teams BYU's ever had.
Yeah,
we've had some stars. Like Visek Ahema led the nation. James Dye led the nation, right? They were crazy skilled as individuals.
We've had great kickers.
Right. We've had phenomenal, but I'm talking about the whole package of special teams performing at an elite level like it did last year. It's unprecedented.
Yeah.
And so is it that the talent's just better, or are they buying in? What is it?
It was a combination of both. So I think having the talent pool that we have, plus my influence, plus Coach Hill's influence. So Coach Hill was a special teams coordinator for a long time, and so typically how it works is that the special teams coordinator's up there and he's just battling the whole, every position, every position coach I'm talking about getting these guys bought in. Yeah. Well, Coach Hill steps in and he has this experience of, basically he tells the defensive guys, you will not play defense unless you're on special teams.
Unless you do special teams.
So he straight up told them, if you're not going to go out there and try hard and be committed in the special teams drills and show that you want to help our team be better, you're not going to help us on defense.
I want to play.
I love that. Hey, by the way, amazing coach. We love you, K-Pop, Spencer McMillan. And then somebody wants to know if you have a program to make those Chinese characters. But great question here from Calvin Porter, who says, Coach, do you have a person that taught you the most regarding special teams, like a mentor that got you to this point where you understand it so well and can coach it now?
I laugh at it because when Bronco hired me or promoted me to the special teams coordinator, I think it was 2013, he pulled me in. He's like, hey, I think you're ready to be a coordinator. I want you to do special teams. And I just laughed. I was like, Coach, I know about punt and kickoff. That's all those were the two that I played. Yeah. I know about punt and kickoff. And he's like, we'll help you along the way. So guy, Patrick Higgins.
Yeah.
That was a receiver, that was a receivers coach. He'd helped me a ton. Then just along the way, Nick Cowell was a guy that helped me a bunch. Paul Tidwell was huge. Yeah. Even Lance Reynolds would give us, that old, I shouldn't say old, but that veteran experience. Yeah, those guys really helped me a ton. And then when I went to Virginia, there was a guy named Ricky Brumfield that we ended up hiring, and he taught me a ton of stuff. And then, Jay's taught me a ton of stuff. And then when I went to Boise State, I was with a guy named Keith Bonifa, who's now at Michigan State, who's a great running back and special teams guy. And so it's really a combination of all those guys. And so I took from each of those guys the things that I thought were the best things. And then I've just put those all together. And then Jay's taught me a ton. Over the last 2 years I've been with Jay, he's taught me a bunch of stuff. And there's been schemes that we've been doing where he'll pull me aside and be like, hey,
I don't like that.
He'd be like, I've tried that before. Let's think about this. And be like, okay, let's go. And that's the thing about coaching. I think a lot of times coaches got to be humble, and not saying I'm the most humble guy, because there's some things that he'll tell me and I'll be like, I'm not doing that. But there's things that he'll say to me, and I'll like take a step back and look at it and be like, okay, that does make a lot of sense. We need to try that out. And so actually, the punt return that we got in the Colorado game was Jay's idea. And so just the different type of, we set like a left, I think it was like a left pressure and a hold up on the right, and set up a wall back to our left. And that was an idea that Jay had used a lot when he was at Utah and Weber State. And so, but it's great to have a guy like that. Our offices are right next door to each other every morning. He walks in and he'll ask me how special teams are going, and just, he'll give me his thoughts on practice and watching film and stuff. So it's good to have somebody like that around.
I love that. There's been so many people that have had influence on you, because that's the guys that have great success always take bits and pieces and mold it into what fits their philosophy. And it sounds like you've had a lot of good influences over time.
It's been good.
That's fun.
I've been around some good people.
In addition to special teams, we talked about the fact that you have the ends, so you're part of that rush package. So question for you: this BYU defense, right at the top of the country in forced turnovers, but interceptions, all year long, like from start to finish. Like right there at the top of the rankings and picks. So is this due to the fact that there was consistent pressure on the quarterback, or is it because they're really good in the back end?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think all great defenses start with pass rush. I don't care what anybody says. Look at the Super Bowl. Like the Super Bowl, the Eagles had great pass rush. Chiefs couldn't block them, and they just destroyed them. And so at the end of the day, everybody looks at, oh man, BYU only had 16 or 17 sacks on the year, and that's not a great number, really. Typically our goal for a season, if you're in 30, that's pretty good. I think my last year with Bronco, that year we ended up with 42 or 43, which is one of the tops. Bronson, I think, had 16 sacks that year.
Gosh.
And then at Virginia, we broke 2 school records back-to-back years. We had 46 sacks one year and then 48. And so you get in those 40 numbers, that's a great year.
Crazy, yeah.
And so, you look at this year and you're like 16, 17, that's not great. But then you look at the interception numbers and the number of PBUs our DBs had. And it's the combination of the quarterback is getting rid of the ball when he doesn't not want to, because he doesn't want to get hit. And now the DB's got to do their job from there.
Milo always said during the season on our shows, he's like, I'd much rather play in this system, because they're pressuring the guys. They're playing against systems where the quarterback's taught to just get rid of the ball and not get sacked. And he's like, that's the defense I want to play in, because I'm in the back end and they're throwing bad balls and getting it out before the timing's right. And
I couldn't care less about sacks, because just even as a defensive philosophy, because would you rather be 3rd and 15 and the offense has a punt, or would you rather start 1st and 10 and our offense
sacks can change a drive, picks change a game.
Exactly. Right. So if you even go back to the one that I always look at is the Arizona game. So if you guys go back and watch the Arizona game, Fafita got hit in that game over 20 times. And he was running for his life the whole game. Now, we didn't sack him. I don't think we sacked him one time in that game, but we hit the crap out of him a ton. And if you go back and you watch the interception that Tanner Wall had in the south end zone that he made a phenomenal play on, Vil Puha, Batty's backup, smacks the crap out of that dude.
And who's going to be really good, by the way. Right?
He's going to be a great player. But, I mean, nobody really sees that hit, and it's a big hit. And Fifita throws it, and then Tanner makes a great play. I mean, that was one of the best interceptions I've seen.
Was that when he was playing middle third and made it all the way to the pylon? Yeah. What in the world?
Yeah, great play. Yeah. And so, but nobody really thinks about the pressure that Fifita was on. And then you go out throughout the whole entire game, and even at the end of that game, Batty has one of the biggest hits all year long on Fifita. And then the very next play, Isaiah Banya comes on a twist game, and Fifita's rolling out. This is right at the end of the game. Fifita's rolling out in the north end zone, and Isaiah Banya smacks him. He throws it. Glasgow picks it, pick six to end the game. And so it's just all those little things throughout this. It's the same thing in the Colorado game. Like, I mean, that guy got hit. We didn't rush more than 4 that whole entire game. Nobody. I mean, if you go back and watch it, it was 3 and 4 man rush the whole entire game. And that's all we had to do. Like, we had 5-man pressures. We had 6-man pressures that Coach Hill wanted to call, but we got through the first quarter and we're like, guys,
we can get there.
We're going to get there in 3 and 4 man rush. We're going to be just
fine.
When
you can do that, you're in control. Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Remember in the green room, we felt so bad for Shador.
Yeah, like we were feeling bad for him.
Out. We were like, oh Lord, please. Yeah. We started praying, please.
Yeah, we're like,
please,
let's not get this guy hurt. Like we were literally concerned for him.
Yeah. He was like, he lost millions on that hit.
And it was a phenomenal game plan, and you guys will be congratulated. So, hey, Kelly Poppinga is with us here on Wise Guy, sponsored by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News. We're so glad to have you in studio with us. You got a good core of returning guys in 2025, special teams and on defense.
Yeah.
And so you can kind of address both. Like, it seems like all the marquee names are back on special teams, and you've mentioned the depth. So I'm just expecting the special teams to just pick up right where they left off. Defensively, lost some good guys up front. A lot of the back end is back, but some good dudes up front. All 4 you're starting 4. So what, as you move into spring ball, what's your thought process and what needs to get done to get you back to that same level and beyond for this next season on defense and special teams?
Yeah, I mean, the expectation's set. And so that's the message for me going into spring ball to these guys is, hey, you guys have set a high standard. And I shouldn't say you guys. We've all done this together. We've set a high standard. So now what are we willing to do what are we willing to do to take the next step, right? And so that's the challenge. After any successful season, that's the next thing is like, okay, what else is there out there for us to do? And, there was things that we could have done better. And that's, getting in the film room and me being able to get up, in front of the whole team and showing them, hey, look at this missed opportunity we had here, or this, this opportunity we could have, seized in this moment. And so, there's a bunch of those throughout the season. So, but I'm excited. That's the thing is keeping these guys humble and hungry. You got Keelan Marion back, you got Parker Kingston back, you got Will Ferrin back. We got a transfer snapper in, and Garrison Grimes that is as good a snapper maybe in the country.
Is he Jeff Grimes?
He's Jeff's son.
Which is awesome that Jeff would trust him and send him here to you guys, right?
Yeah,
it's really cool.
And having Sam back, and then just the core guys like Tanner Wall, as good as he was at safety, little people might not know that he's probably our best special teams player on our team.
Wow.
And Talon Alfrey, same guy. There's a group of safeties that I feel really, really confident in. We lost Ethan Slade, who was like a special teams guru, but there's just a bunch of really good players. Got Marcus McKenzie, who redshirted this year. We'll have him for all of his games. Cody Hagan, who had really stepped in for Marcus when he was out. So I mean, there's a bunch of guys. Yeah. So now it's just like I said, it's keeping them humble and hungry and helping them understand there's a whole nother level that we can take this thing to. And it's kind of interesting. When we went into the Kansas State game, we talked about how for years, probably 20, 25 years, Kansas State was known for their special teams play, playing great defense. And we said, in this game, we have to beat them at their own game. We got to get interceptions, turnovers, and we got to get some special team scores. And sure enough, in that game, that's exactly what happened. And then when that moment happened, I think that they started believing, well, dang, we can be pretty good on special teams. And then from there on out, the thing kind of just rolled and people started believing. And it was fun to just see everything unfold.
I love that. Those Bill Snyder years with Bobby and Mike Stoops on the staff, when they were really rolling, it was like, these guys are lights out on special teams every week, and you guys took that from them.
There was an unbelievable stat that we shared with our team going into the Kansas State game. I can't remember exactly what the number was, but it was since 2000. It was like a 25-year period. It was over like 90 touchdowns, not 99, or what was it, 90 non-offensive touchdowns in a 25-year period. Wow. It was an incredible. I mean,
that's how you win a lot of games, right?
It was like 20 more than any other team. It was incredible. And so we were telling them, hey,
that's what we want to be.
Yeah, we want to be that. And we're going to have to stop that, that night, and we did.
You guys were certainly that. So a lot of people do ask me about the D line. They're like, hey, you lose Mangelson and Nelson and Batty and Banya. Like, what can you tell folks? You got guys that are coming up and coming. We did get some guys in the transfer portal, Tanavasa. What can you tell us about that D line? Can we have some confidence that they're going to be okay?
Yeah. I would say the interior. I feel very, very confident about the interior guys. A lot of people talk about Tanavasa, but I think Anisi Purcell that came in from Southern Utah. I've been super impressed with him. I mean, he's 6'3". 285, 290. I think he's going to be a really good player for us. But I feel more confident with the D tackles than I would do with the DNs. The DNs were really young.
Yeah.
So we got our hands full with those guys, but they're very talented. That's the thing is they're young and they're extremely talented. They're probably more talented than what we've had. They're just young. And so there's some growing pains that go along with that, but I'm confident and they've been working their tails off. I love, Logan Latui, he had a chance to come back, and so just his leadership.
That's another one we haven't talked about, getting to come back. That gets another year.
He was able to get another year, and so just his leadership and his experience. I mean, he was with Coach Hill at Weber State. He knows this defense better than I do. I'm not kidding. Like, I'll sit in the meeting. We'll be sitting in meetings. He'll be like, hey, Coach, that's actually this way. And I'll be like, oh, you're right. So they actually call him GA Logan.
GA Logan? He's old enough, right?
Yeah. But it'll be fun. I'm excited.
That gets us all excited.
So like with BYU, and I would say there's usually, well, since I played and been a part of the program, there's like these 1 or 2 years where a certain group is really good, or maybe even 3, and then there's this huge drop off, right? And I just think that that's just the history of recruiting for BYU. When you look at like an Alabama or a Texas, I mean, this is like a constant reload. But I'm starting to see that now when you look at transfer portals, and shoot, I think this is the most 4-stars I've seen commit since I've been a part of the program. So how long do you think it's going to take BYU, being in the Big 12, to start to finally have that cycle where there's no drop off, where, hey, it truly is next man up?
Yeah. I mean, I feel really good about the first 2 recruiting classes that we've had since we've been here. And so it's just continuing to build on those over and over and over again. Right. So, we just had the best recruiting class in BYU history. Yeah, and if we land all the top LDS and BYU connected players in this 26 class, this will be by far and away the best recruiting class BYU's ever had. But we got to land them. There's still a ton of work. I mean, their top quarterback in the country is LDS.
Yes.
The top tight end in the country is LDS. One of the top linebackers in the country is LDS. One of the top tight ends in the country is LDS. So it keeps going on. I mean, so we got to land those guys. Yeah. But it could be a special recruiting class. But a lot has to happen. It's just the recruiting is all a piece of winning, and hard work. We got to continue to stay in touch with these guys and be able to show them what's the BYU way and how Kalani wants to do things. And I think when they get involved and they see the culture of how things are done here, it's so unique and different than any other place. Being with Bronco, I'm not saying anything bad about Bronco, but the way the Kalani does it is just so unique and so different. When somebody walks in, it's just like, I think it kind of takes them back a little bit about like, this is so like, it's nothing like anywhere else. You walk into a team meeting, it just blows you away.
It's interesting, like, because lots of times you'll bring recruits up and we'll take them on tours of the BYU broadcasting facilities. I did that a couple of times with these the couple of recruiting classes. Parents of kids who are not LDS come up to me and say, yeah, we're leaving it up to him, but we really want him here with Kalani and this group of coaches. We just feel like they're going to develop them as human beings better than any place else we could send them. And now you just finished the season number 13 in the country, knocking on the door of college football playoff, and people go, this might be sustainable. How does the performance on the field in an 11-2 season affect the kids and the families you're talking to that you're out recruiting right now? Yeah,
I just think that when it comes down to like recruiting is a lot of what's happening now, right? The big sell, our hardest sell was last season, right? We will 5-7, and people are looking at it and they're like, yeah, you guys are good dudes. You could be good coaches. You've had success in it before, but maybe it's not going to work. But man, we landed a great recruiting class a year ago. And so I think the winning, we always say winning's the best part of recruiting, right? That makes recruiting the easiest. When we win, then that makes everybody's job easier. And so I just feel like we got to be consistent, right? We continue to stay consistent. That's what made Alabama for all those years. They were consistently winning, right? That's what making Georgia right now. They're consistently winning. So winning solves all the problems in recruiting as long as you're doing it the right way. And that's Jay's and Kalani's big thing is just let's do it the right way. Let's treat the kids the right way, but also let's coach them really hard. Yeah. And that's what they want. That's what kids want these days. And then that, along with winning, I think they'll realize that, this is, could be a great spot for them.
Great place for them to be. I love it. And we're so glad that you came in with us. We've got 5 questions for you. You were on the show before, so we did the normal 5 questions, but Dave told you that we were going to ask you for your 5 best special teams plays.
I made notes of this, guys.
So we're going to do this. I want to mention that 5 questions is presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies. It's owned and operated by a BYU alum. She's been helping us with Wise Guys since we started Wise Guys. Chantel, she's incredible with social media marketing and PR and all that kind of stuff. So you can reach Chantel at strategysquare.co. So if you need help with anything, reach out. That's Strategy Square. So Kelly's top 5 special teams plays of the year is the last thing we're going to ask him for here tonight. So do you want to do them like 5 down to 1? We save the best one for last.
Let's do 5 to 1.
Okay. Let's start with number 5.
Before that though, Blaine, I gotta just tell you, when I started doing this, I wrote down. I got 12 plays.
You have 12 of them. Yeah, that's how good special teams was this year.
I was like, I'm sitting there like, holy crap, how am I going to choose? So this is not in my top 5. I don't have the fake punt the fake field goal versus UCF. I don't have the KOR touchdown versus Wyoming.
That tells you how good these are.
I don't have Tanner Wall makes a great stop against SIU on a fake punt, which I thought was a great play. The KOR return for Talon Affrey in the Houston game. I don't have that on there.
That was a good one.
And that was a great one.
Awesome. And I loved it on the week after he got hit with, which was just such a redeeming thing for one of the great kids on the team. Right. Yeah. Really fun.
So here's number 5.
Okay, here we go. Number 5.
And
he just mentioned like 4 really good ones.
So I always talk about complementary football. Like that's a big thing for me. So how is the special teams going to complement offense or defense to help them do their job and be successful? So a lot of this has to deal with we made a big play and then the offense or defense. Number 5, I go with the fake punt versus Baylor. And the reason why is that led to a field goal that put us up 6, and late in the game, they're in position to kick a field goal. To either, if we don't make that field goal after the fake punt, then they could tie the game, but they have to go for a touchdown now. And so that ended up being a huge play.
It was a game-winning play.
It was a game-winning play. And, I can't tell you how many times we practiced that play. And I think Sam might have told you guys when they were in here that, and because he came to me, he's like, Coach, I hope I didn't spill any secrets on our fake punt. And I was like,
so funny.
But we got up to the line and we had called it, and Batty was actually supposed to check out of it because we didn't get the exact look. And then right at the last second, the guy shifted over.
And so Batty stayed with it?
Well, no, Batty made the call before the shift. So he's just like, we're going with it.
We're doing it.
And then I was sitting there like, I told Kalani, I'm like, Kalani, I think he stayed with it. And Kalani's like, that's not the look. And I'm like, I know. And then all of a sudden the kids shifted over like, oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah, we're okay. And then they blocked it up.
Yeah,
great. And
nice. So we had Sam and Will on the show. I don't know if you got to see. They were awesome. And then both of their spouses came on the show with them. And the feedback we got was, Sam and Will were great. Their wives were awesome though. And we know why they're good because they got great support. Right?
They're great people. They're awesome.
Okay, number 4. So fake punt versus Baylor is number 1, resulted in enough of a margin to win the game.
Yep.
Number 4.
Okay, number 4. Okay, this one actually is 2 plays, guys. I got 4A and 4B. I couldn't decide.
It's okay.
It's 2 punt returns. Okay, so I went with the Kansas State punt return and then the punt return against Colorado. And the reason why I didn't put those higher, because honestly, Parker's punt return versus Kansas State is probably one of the most unbelievable plays I've ever seen in my life. But the reason why I didn't have it higher is because he muffed the punt.
Because he didn't catch it.
He didn't catch it. And then he dropped the ball at the end of the goal line where I went from being, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill this kid.
What grade?
Oh my gosh, this is the greatest play ever.
What grade did you give him on that play? Did you give him a plus or a plus?
He got a plus and a minus.
I gave him a minus, a plus, and then a minus right at the end because he drops the ball as he's crossing the line. I'm like,
so he got 2 minuses and a plus when he basically ran 140 yards for a touchdown.
I mean, honestly, one of the most unbelievable plays. But if he catches that ball clean, he's not going to have to work as hard, and the same thing's still going to happen. But, it was unbelievable.
I remember Gavin was great in things, and he goes, Dad, come on, look at this a minute. And he's like, this is one of the, I can't remember the play. I think it was a Tanner Wall play. He's like, he did exactly the wrong thing. But the play is so ridiculous that I'm going to give him a minus and a plus. And I was like, okay. That was kind of that play, right?
It's kind of, and there were some great blocks on that play. Isaiah Glasgow.
Oh my goodness!
Go back and watch that play. He made 2 or 3 blocks and then ends up walking in with
and you see his foot speed on that too. That dude can just run.
Yeah, it was
so fun.
And there's some great blocks. And then the Colorado punt return. Parker was untouched. Nobody touched him on that play, and that was awesome.
Great block.
And the thing when that play happened, the reason why I put it 4A and 4AB. In both of those plays, when those plays happened in the game is over.
Yeah.
So that when Parker made the play against Kansas State, that game there was no way Kansas State was coming back. And then once we went up 17-0 against Colorado, all the cells were up. The game was over. And that's just it's awesome to see special teams change the game. And
I love that we have so many plays we have to do 4A and 4B. That's so many good plays. So
okay, number three. A lot of people won't like this one, but I love it. Was the onside kick against Colorado.
Oh,
and the reason why I like that, and I thought it was a huge play for us, is we're up 10-0. And that play right there showed Colorado we're not messing around. We came here and we're guns a-blazing. Mm-hmm. We're going to throw everything at you guys. And even though that didn't result in any points, I think we ended up, that was the Gary Bohannon interception after that. But I think it showed Colorado, and it stole the possession from Colorado. It kept the ball out of Shadir's hands and Travis Hunter's hands, which is all about special teams, fake punts, fake field goals, onside kicks. It's all about stealing possessions. And so it just was another opportunity.
That was because we all looked in the green room and we were like, no way. Oh, I like it.
Once it was, we were like, okay, because we were saying the same thing. Less possessions, right? Keep them off the field.
And that was
a tone setter, is what it was.
It was a David and Goliath moment when David walked up and said, "I'm not scared."
Yeah, that was fun.
And and the thing that was great about it too is we practiced that a ton all season long, and you got to get certain looks that give you certain onside kicks, and we have 3 or 4 that we could run. You just got to get the right look and. They had given that look all season long, and then we did the first kickoff, and Kalani saw it. He's like, "Hey, it's there," and I said, "I know." He's like,
"Let's go.
Next time we're running it."
I love it.
And I was like, and he's like, I think we kicked a field goal, and he's like, "Yep, we're running." I was like, "Okay,
this better work."
And Will had practiced this so many times.
Okay, such good execution. Okay,
number two, I put as the KOR against Utah, and the reason is without that play, we don't win that game. Rivalry game, and it was after such a huge play by them. I think they had just scored their first touchdown of the game, and that place was rocking. I don't know if you guys were there.
I was in the studio down. Brenda and the kids were up.
But it was nuts. The place was going nuts, and then they kicked the ball to us, and then you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, it just went quiet.
And Keelan, and the thing I love about that play, it was the best blocked kickoff return I've maybe ever coached or had. I mean, everybody hit their guy 100%, and he was untouched. He went untouched. I think the kicker might have touched him right at the end.
He hit the seam and just went. And he did a thing that I know you teach kickers, because I've heard you talk about this out there, where when it's the kicker, he's the only guy left. You tell him, run right at him.
And that's
this is what K-Pop teaches him. And I never heard that before until I heard him teach this. I'm like, that is great, because that doesn't allow him to get an angle. Like, you run right at him, and he's gonna panic.
And that's exactly.
And then
what happened,
and he ran right at him, and then just made one step and went by.
Because they're not used to. No, they're not used to making tackles.
Well, if you run away from him, or you try to make too many moves, other guys catch up, or you run away from him, he gets an angle and he angles you to the side. They teaches them, no, when it's you and the kicker, you run straight at him.
And you also got to teach them this: when they get to the 5-yard line, lift their high knees, because you got people coming in. You got kickers coming in trying to swipe
the legs.
So that was he hit that seam and he just went. It was pretty,
and that was fun to see Keelan do that, and to have him do it twice in the season.
Oh goodness,
was awesome. So
All-American.
And he's special. Like he's. I think you saw it a year ago in 2023. We had some really good returns, and then to see him do this. So now the standard set. I told him, hey, you got 2. We better get 3 this next year. So.
Okay, how about number 1?
Number 1. This is, one of the greatest plays in BYU history. I would say is the Will Ferrin kick.
Oh gosh,
And so I've told this story a bunch, but we're going down to score, or going on that last drive, and the holding penalty happens, and I'm having flashbacks. I'm having about flashbacks to 2010. We're going the same way, going whatever that end zone is, the south end zone, and I'm thinking, here we go. This is going to be the game. 2012, we're going the same exact direction. And both of those kicks get blocked. I'm thinking, all right. And in my head, I'm not saying this to anybody, but in your head,
it's going.
In my head, I'm like, gosh dang it, guys, do not do this to me again. And so I walk over to Will and I just said, A-Rod's asking me, hey, where does he want the ball?
Where does he want it?
And Will just said, Coach, it doesn't matter. The ball's going in wherever it's at. You know, I think I tweeted that out.
Yeah.
And he's saying it with a smile. Like, he's just so calm and cool. And then it was, you know, the operation from the snap to the hold to the kick, everything was money. The protection was awesome. And then Will drilled that thing. And just, you know, in that situation, rivalry game, the game's on. I mean, there's going to be, I was hoping there'd be no time left after the ball was kicked. But you practice those situations all the time. And for our guys to go out there and execute it, that was really fun
and people take for granted that the snap and the hold are going to be perfect like that. And Will gets a lot of credit, but that and that the protection is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
It takes 11 guys.
Yeah.
And especially that operation of the center and the holder and the kicker to be perfect. You go back and watch that and you're just like, wow, this is really good. This is like art.
You know what's funny? Like, so many people tweeted and said the curse at that end zone in that stadium is finally gone. It's finally removed. Because I was thinking the same exact thing. Just one guy was blocked who was untouched that ended up getting drafted 4th round somewhere, and he was the fastest guy in the field. And I was like, how do we not touch that?
Not like that guy. It's all got to be perfect. I think a lot of people would agree with you, K-Pop, that Will Ferrin kick is in their hearts forever, right? Yeah. But there are a lot of memories from special teams this last year that are in people's hearts forever.
That's crazy.
So many big plays, and it was a huge part of this 11-2 run, and you did a phenomenal job with the pass rush and the defense. We're grateful for all your contributions to the program, for coming in with us. Did it over Zoom last time, coming in the studio with us this time, and you come back here anytime you want.
Oh yeah,
come back and break.
Let's do it.
Come back and break it down with us anytime you want.
Coach, you always say, you know, since you've met me and me doing certain things, and even, you know, being on TV and my post career, that you're always proud of me, and I'm. This is the first time I'm proud of you.
It took all this time. I'm finally proud of me.
Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of you. Love you, and man, that's why I opened up with that statement, because he would yell at me. You need to be on special teams, and it was already in his DNA. So we appreciate you.
No, thank you guys.
Thanks for coming on.
It's fun.
And the beauty of this show is when you're done, like, we don't have commercials or anything, and they plug them in on the podcast, but when we do the show on the live stream, everybody is just straight. So you just walk out barefooted. You just get to walk out barefooted out into the snow.
That's
so
great.
We'll have you again soon. Thanks for coming on, K-Pop. We appreciate it, man.
Coach.
Kelly Poppinga on the Wise Guys with us here, presented by Brady Plus and distributed by the Deseret News. Thanks to Kelly for coming on. Appreciate you, bro. Keep taking care of Gavin. I will, man. Good to see you. Yeah, so so a lot of you. My son Gavin works with these guys on defense, and he loves working with Kelly and Jay and those guys, and has learned so much from them. So
thank you for watching the Wise Guys.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.